Ryan Hanley.
Ryan Hanley, Jeff Roy, how are you?
Jeff, what's going on, dude?
How much did you get, or are you still?
I'm good, brother. Yo, I am just setting up for an episode of the show, so let me ask you a question here. What is one sales and marketing metric that every agency should track?
Acquisition cost per lead.
Acquisition cost per lead. If you can't measure it, you can't improve it. That's the famous business quote from Peter Drucker. I'm sure you've heard some version of it. My favorite insurance business author and traveler's trainer, Skip Daigle, wrote the book Breaking the Code. And right here on the third page, he has, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. It's a little different version of the same quote, but the idea is simple. Guys, if we are going to transition from technicians to business people, from people who just do insurance to people who operate an insurance business, which is an absolute must moving into the future, okay? The guy I just got off the phone with, Jeff Roy, he is the epitome of this. He's also gonna be the closing keynote speaker Monday at Elevate 2018. So if you wanna see Jeff Roy in all his glory, you have to be at Elevate 2018. When it comes to inbound marketing, being able to track what you're actually doing, the activity you're doing, and what kind of results you're getting is a non-negotiable. And most of you are not doing this. How do I know that? I talk to so many of you every day. And the things that you are tracking, you might be just looking at your Google Analytics traffic or how many likes you're getting on Facebook. Those are vanity metrics. They're silly metrics. Not that they're not important. I look at my Google Analytics and track engagement on Facebook posts as well, but they're not operational metrics that are going to help you actually grow your business. They're more lagging indicators of creating good content, of telling good stories. They're good metrics to know what's going on. They're a barometer, but they're not actually metrics that you can use to change what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So today we're going to talk about five metrics that every inbound insurance marketer must track if they want to win. So Jeff Roy gave us our first metric for today, the cost of lead acquisition. And to be honest with you, that was completely not planned at all. I just had a standing call with Jeff this morning, and I dropped that on him, and he happened to give me the perfect first answer, actually exactly what I was looking for. But then that's why I have standing calls with Jeff Roy, because dude just knows what he's doing. Check out Excalibur Insurance if you want to know more about what Jeff Roy is all about. And so here's the deal, guys. You have to know how much it costs to get someone into your funnel, right? So this is a top of funnel metric, but it's also incredibly important. What is the cost of you generating an opportunity for your business? And so why is this so important? Well, it may seem pretty self-explanatory, but if you don't know how much it costs to turn someone into an opportunity, then you don't know what it's gonna cost down the funnel, right? And different lead sources, like asking for referrals, SEO, pay-per-click, Facebook ads, all these different methods for acquiring new opportunities have different levels of cost. And if you don't know what they cost, you can't strategically place different capital investments and time investments into those different lead opportunities. And ultimately, you're just gonna waste money chasing tactics that aren't actually working for you or your niche. Before I jump on this podcast real quick though, we have to define what a lead is or an opportunity. And that is capturing enough information that you know who they are, where they are, how you can contact them, and what they're interested in, right? So that's a lead, and that's what we consider a lead in trustedchoice.com. And for anything I do with Agency Nation, that is my definition, the 4 characteristics of what you need for something to be a lead or an opportunity, whatever you call that high level capture. You need to know who they are, where they are, how to get a hold of them, and what they actually want. So if they're just coming in and entering their email address, not a lead. If they're just coming in and giving you their name, not a lead. Their address, just not a lead. Or any version of those three, not really a lead. You need to know all four of those things because it allows you to create the processes behind the scenes to address their needs in a way that's going to meet their expectations. I hope that makes sense. That's kind of a big topic. We'll do another show on that. Hello, and welcome back to Agency Nation Radio. The second metric that you need to track to win the inbound insurance marketing game is lead to quote. So where lead to quote becomes important is maybe say you're doing Facebook marketing, you're doing some advertising through banner ads on a local newspaper website, and you have organic traffic. So you have these three sources. Well, maybe Facebook ads are driving opportunities at a higher cost of acquisition than the banner ads that you're getting from the local newspaper. But the newspaper ads, even though they're cheaper, have a higher lead to quote ratio. So now you actually look back and you're saying, well, even though I can get leads for much cheaper here, my lead to quote ratio is much higher, so it's actually costing me more than Facebook, where I'm paying a little more to get that lead in the door, but those leads are converting into quotes at a much higher level. So again, we're talking business insight. If we're not tracking each one of these metrics step by step, then we're not getting a good insight into what's actually happening in our business. From lead to quote ratio, we actually get maybe like a 2A, and that is your cost per quote. A source of lead may have a low cost of acquisition, but may have a high cost to quote ratio, or cost to quote, and that's something that you have to take into account. Now, that doesn't mean that a source of lead, like say the banner ads from a local newspaper, which are inexpensive to get a lead in the door, but it takes a lot of them to convert into a quote. So you may have a high cost of quote, low cost of lead. You may say that, wow, I got to stop doing those banner ads. That's not good for my business. But if you're doing things like drip marketing, if you're putting them into a system, if you're retargeting them through Facebook, through PPC ads, through an email drip campaign, those leads that you got in the door, remember, you need those 4 crucial pieces of information. If you're getting those, you can then possibly remarket to them over time and bring them back in. So it still may make sense to advertise on that newspaper, even though the first 2 metrics aren't playing out that it's your best source. Number 3 is your quote to bind ratio. So what is the ratio of leads to quotes? What is the ratio for that source of sale, quote to bind? So now you're actually, and that leads again to a 3A, which is what is the cost to bind a policy? So what is the cost of a customer? This is the customer acquisition cost, CAC, that you hear so often. Looking at those ratios and understanding what it costs from a certain source. In this case, we're using PPC, Facebook ads, and maybe SEO, maybe you're doing some banner ads on the newspaper. That newspaper ad may have a very low cost per lead, a very high cost per quote, but then through retargeting and remarketing, it may have a very viable, very attractive cost to bind that policy. And we need to know that, and it's why it's our 3rd metric. Number 4, return on investment, first year revenue. So we need to keep money, we need to keep cash in the business, we need to keep it flowing. So understanding, are you getting a return from a specific source, a specific channel, newspaper ads, PPC, SEO, Facebook, referrals, whatever it is, your country club, right? Being able to track source of sale, very important. So if you know what your return on investment is first year, that keeps cash in the business. You can pay your people, you can pay your producers, you can run more ads. Very important. Number 4, return on investment, first year revenue. Number 5, And this is the big one. This is the one everyone misses. The one everyone misses. Return on investment, lifetime value of that customer. Guys, if you can learn anything from me in this video, it's the key metric. The metric that no one else is tracking. Only the primetime players like a Jeff Roy is tracking this type of number. Everyone else forgets to do this and makes very bad decisions on where they choose to spend their marketing dollars and their lead acquisition dollars because they're not tracking the return on investment based on lifetime value of a customer. This is one of the key ideas to inbound marketing. And I'm telling you, this is what separates the people who are successful long-term versus the people who dip their toe in, don't see a lot of success, and then get out and then complain that lead buying doesn't work or whatever, right? If someone's complaining about lead buying not working, I can guarantee you it's because they were not tracking return on investment based on lifetime value of that customer. And when you can track return on investment based on lifetime value of a customer, again, this is going to take time. It's going to take time to get there. But if you can do that, you can then strategically place your money into places where you're seeing maybe a higher cost of acquisition of that customer or a higher cost of lead acquisition where other people aren't spending their dollars because it looks like upfront you lose money, but when you look at the lifetime value of that customer, there's so much more revenue there. And a really good example of this is renter's insurance, right? So people don't want to overpay for renter's insurance, but if you overpay for the acquisition of renter's insurance, which is incredibly inexpensive to begin with, and then you cross-sell umbrella policies, auto policies, life policies, they start a business, they then turn into buying a home, all these other things that happen from a renter's insurance policy. Now you're looking at the lifetime value of that customer, and that renter's insurance opportunity becomes a bonanza for you. It's why you're seeing companies like Liberty Mutual go D2C on this. You're seeing so many insurtech startups start in the renter's insurance space because they know that there are a lot of people not focusing on renter's insurance today. And by doing all the other services that we can provide to them, by cross-selling and upselling those renter's insurance people, you can do low cost of acquisition or even outbid your cost of acquisition, pay up a little bit for it in the cost of acquisition phase because you know the lifetime value of that customer is going to be a lot more for you. So I think renter's insurance is a very hot market right now. If you decide to jump into renter's insurance today, you definitely are going to have some competition. I think it's still a little early in the renter's insurance space, but it's filling up fast. So I don't know if I don't know if it's as blue ocean as it once was in the renter's insurance space, but if you're tracking these 5 metrics, if you're tracking the cost of lead acquisition, your lead to quote ratio, and your cost to quote ratio, your quote to bind ratio, and your cost to bind ratio, your cost of acquisition, your return on investment for first year revenue, and your return on investment for lifetime value of that customer, you are going to have this beautiful picture of what's happening in the marketplace from an inbound standpoint, and you're going to be able to strategically place bets and have insights into lines of business and marketplaces that your competition don't have any insight to. They're completely blind to it. And you're going to be moving your chess pieces around the board and your competition won't have a clue what they're doing. You will set yourself apart, you will win the long game, and you will become very, very successful. My friends, if you dig what I'm doing here, if you're digging on the show, make sure that you subscribe to this show on YouTube. Make sure you share it, hit the thumbs up button. That helps me reach more insurance professionals just like yourself, helps get the word out there about the show so we can help more of your brothers and sisters in arms in the insurance industry succeed and thrive. If you have questions, send them in. Hit me with your thoughts in the comments, whether you're on the blog or you're on the YouTube channel. Hit me up with your comments and I'll make sure that those questions and those comments get on the show in the future. Later.